I'm here today to show you what I'm doing for One Book July, and since I'm going to be updating you every week, as always, at the end of the week, every Friday, you'll get a video showing you what I've done. I'm not going to go too in-depth into what I'm doing or how I'm doing it, because I'll use that during the month to show you what I've done, how, and then review it and see how it's working and that sort of thing. Now, those of you who follow me or have followed me for a while know that I actually only use one book anyway. This is my book, this is my journal, bullet journal, art journal, everything goes in here, my sketchbook, everything. And I generally only use one pen, which is whatever black pen happens to be to hand. Today it's this one. I generally only use needlepoint pens, very fine ones. I'm not really fussy on pens. I just use whatever pen comes to hand for writing or doodling, you know, this kind of stuff. I'm not fussy about. But if I'm going to do artwork, sometimes I will swap to a specific black pen. But my one pen is a black pen. Any black pen will do. My one book is this one. This is where I put all my information goes in here, and I've used these since June last year. So this is my 13th month. I'm going into my second year using these notebooks. I will put a link down below because everybody always asks me what these notebooks are, but they're the Seawhites of Btighton travel journals with the green stripe, not the blue. The green one takes wet media. I did briefly wander into a different book in February, which is my Nuna notebook. It was very pretty, very nice. I love it. I love the paper, I love everything about the notebook, but it just didn't work for me as my one book. I used half of it in February, and I'm using the other half of it for notes for something else. And I've gone back to these, because I love these. Just when you think they're getting too big and chunky, you get to the end. It works well. So that's my one book and one pen, whatever black pen I find, and my journal. Now, recently I did add in a happy planner. That is not really being used as a planner. I still bullet journal and I still organise everything in here. But my happy planner, which I also use one pen with, I use a friction pen, that's it. I've got 3 colours of the friction pen, but I only use friction pens. And in here, all I do is I organise my videos for the month. Red is YouTube, black is Patreon, so I can see what I've got coming up and what's due when. Again, it's bullet journaled, so you can see I write in what it is and I tick it off. So on Monday I've got a coffee vlog coming up, and a blog for the coffee club on Patreon. I've already written in, for instance, YouTube week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for One Book July for next month. And then my weekly, so here's my week, one of my weeks. It's very easy to see what's going on. My red is YouTube, my black is Patreon, and on these days, this is the video that's due on that day, and I write the notes for that day. Not the video I'm doing that day, filming, editing, planning, whatever, the video that is due that day. So if I come to here and I say, Friday the 16th of June, One Book July introduction, and I see that that is not ticked off, I know that I haven't done that video. If it's ticked off as filmed and edited, then I know that all I've got to do is upload that video. So if it's the 16th, I need to upload it today. If it's not due for a couple of days, I don't have to worry about it today, but if I get time or I'm uploading other videos, I'll add that onto my list. Okay, so that's how I use that. It is purely for organising my video information. I've started writing in if I need to link to a video, link to somebody else's video. So like for today's video, I've got don't forget to link to Carrie and Vicky's videos, because that's the kind of thing that I forget to do, and very brief notes on what I'm going to talk about in the video. So I have that in front of me when I'm filming. So that's my video planning only. Everything else gets bullet journaled into my regular everyday journal here. So for One Book July 2017, let me find my page. I have a plan. Here's the plan! Okay, so for those who don't know who I am or what I do, I know some of you have only started following me recently. I am an art journaler and an artist, a working artist, a teacher and a practicing witch. And I teach content on my Patreon that's pretty similar to what I do on YouTube. I teach planning, I teach, we look at astrology and astrological planning for the pagans. We also do Wheel of the Year. We do primarily Book of Shadows type stuff. So how to use your journal or Book of Shadows as a practicing witch, pagan, spiritual person, whatever it is. You don't have to be pagan to be in my group. You don't have to be a witch to be in my group. In fact, we've got a couple of Christians in the group who are thoroughly enjoying themselves, going off and doing their Bible studies and illustrating them. So don't feel that you have to be like me to be in the group, but it kind of helps because things make more sense. So we do astrological planning, we do prompts, you know, looking at symbols, looking at sigils, creating spells, creating that kind of stuff, you know, all sorts of things we do. Just whatever pops up. Now, traditionally for my talk classes, I take July off because my class is a year long. So I can afford to take a month off in the middle. People don't generally mind. And what I normally do is get somebody else in to teach. We've had Steph DeGee come in and do a photo and photography class. I had Mrs. Brembles and a couple of other girls come in and do just a week of, you know, various different things to do with mixed media. I had Carol Desjardins came in. She's a poet and she did a poetry writing month for me. And it's just a nice break for me. It gives me an opportunity to revamp my studio, do my taxes, take a break from teaching because teaching is really hard work, have a creative break and just, you know, generally have some time off. Unfortunately, for the last 2 years, I haven't been able to do that because last year I ended up working July because I was sick all over the beginning of the year. And then the year before that, I was moving in July twice. Yeah. And then the year before that, I was sick as well. So I kind of ended up only taking a week off. And I really haven't had a chance to do art just for me in a very, very long time. People will have noticed that I closed my Etsy store because I don't have any artwork anymore. I used to do artwork and put it up. If I didn't want to keep it, I'd put it up for sale. People would buy it and make prints, do all sorts of stuff. I haven't done that in years because I don't have time. So this month, my project for One Book July, I'm doing version 2 because I always do version 1. My project is going to be to take time for me, to do art for me, for my personal enjoyment, for my personal development, for my personal relaxation, just because I want to. Now, obviously, with my talk classes being through Patreon now, that does cause slight difficulties because I can't just get somebody else to teach my classes. So my projects are going to be shared on Patreon. I have put a post on Patreon that explains how I'm sharing them in a more cohesive way, but I will add it onto this just so that those of you who haven't seen that post yet understand it, and those of you who are interested in seeing what I'm doing in more detail will be able to go and pledge if you want to, entirely up to you. So my version 2, well, version 3 really, Go Big or Go Home. Boy howdy am I doing Go Big or Go Home because I'm technically doing 3 different projects. Version 2. My first project is my studio revamp. The months that I'm not teaching, in the middle of the year, when it's nice and dry and I can throw stuff outside and it won't get wet, it's really easy to do my studio revamp in July. I've been talking to my patrons for like 3 or 4 months about how I want to move my studio around. As you can see, I've already moved my art desk. That's my old art desk where I normally sit over there. I would normally be sat there facing the wall, and now I'm here in the window looking outside and going, oh my god, it's raining. I have started my studio revamp a little in advance because I will be sharing that with my patrons in the form of mini vlogs, just kind of studio inspiration. Here's how I've organised this, here's what I'm working on, this is what I'm moving, this is what I'm getting rid of, all that kind of stuff. I'm just going to share it as mini vlogs and pictures and stuff like that. So you will get inspiration in the form of my, kind of like my whimsical workspaces was when I used to teach that, which was like 10 years ago. Can you believe that? My second project is my art just for me. I am taking the opportunity to do a class. I'm going to do Roxanne Coble's class called Spirits. It's a mixed media art journaling class, but it's right up my street. It's spooky stuff. It's weird imagery. It's, you know, Roxanne is like me. She draws skulls and skeletons and, you know, half an animal and stuff like that. All the stuff that I don't normally show you in my journals because it's a bit weird. That's the kind of stuff she does. I love it. She's got a very spooky, gothy, strange girl in the corner with a pen and a notebook kind of vibe going on, which means she would have been my best friend at school. So I'm going to do her Spirits class, and I'm going to share it with my patrons, but not sharing the class itself. So they won't get any information on how to do any of Roxanne's techniques or anything like that. I'm not even going to film me doing them in any great depth. You know, there might be a cutout shot of me painting, but there won't be anything that will give away the content of Bun's class. However, what I'm going to do for my upper level patrons is show you how I approach a class. So every week I'll tell you what the current structure of the class is, not the content, just the structure. Whether it's a, you know, how many videos there are to watch or how long in time-wise there are videos to watch. Whether there is homework to do and whether it's one thing or several things or something to practice or whatever. And I will show you how I approach it, because I think that would be useful for my students to see how I learn, because it will help them understand how I teach. I'm very freeform in my teaching. You won't see anybody drawing a face exactly like mine, even though I've done several portraits classes now, because I don't teach, here's how to do a page exactly like mine. I teach techniques and I teach practices, and I teach things that I expect students to do 2 or 3 pages of practice of drawing this or drawing that before they even attempt a journal page or a full face or anything of that ilk. So I don't teach how I journal, I teach techniques that show you how to journal yourself. And that's how I approach a class. So when I do a class, I very rarely end up with a page that looks exactly like the teacher did, because I don't want to do exactly what the teacher did. I want to do my own thing, but I want to learn the techniques. So I think Bun's class is a really good one to do because her techniques are completely different to what I do. It's all acrylic and heavy mixed media, whereas I'm more a pen and collage. I just think it's going to be easy for me to separate out what's her techniques and what I can't show, and what is my techniques that I'm adding in and what I can show. So that'll be a weekly thing, how I approach a class, how I learn, and how I do a class so that I learn the techniques but I don't just copy the teacher. I think that will be really useful for a lot of people. And then my third project, because go big or go home, I want to do some general sketching practice. I haven't been doing general sketching practice, and my general sketching has gone downhill. So in my one book, with my one black pen, whichever one I happen to pick up that day, I will do some sketching practice. And I'm hoping to do things like you know, drawing hands, just spend an hour filling in some space. Like, here's a good example. There's this, okay, this is a really interesting cactus plant that I wanted to redraw. So I'm going to redraw it on this page. That could be one sketch for the day. But I also might, you know, take... I haven't got any spaces. Well, let me use my One Book July page. Maybe I'll use this page and I'll say, well, you know what? I want to practice drawing bunnies in different forms, different styles of bunny, because this page is pink bunnies everywhere. Bunnies and mushrooms everywhere. Okay, I just threw some stickers at the page. I might fill up the spaces with, you know, weird and wonderful mushrooms or weird and wonderful bunnies or whatever. I'm not planning on spending a whole lot of time on it. I just want to get some sketching practice in because my hand-eye coordination has gone down the tubes lately because I'm not spending enough time doing general sketching. So there you go. That is my 3 versions. Version 1, my 1 book, my 1 pen. Version 2, 3 projects: studio revamp, Roxanne's class and sharing how I approach a class with my patrons, and my sketchbook, regular practice in my 1 book, every day doing some sketch practice, no matter what it is. And I will be accountable to my patrons because I'll share that with my patrons as well. Probably not drawing the sketches, because when I do sketchbook practice I tend to go out and about, I go to coffee shops, I sit in bed, I lounge on the sofa, and that's not conducive to filming. But I will put a page up every day showing my patrons what I've sketched that day and being accountable. So if you're interested in seeing more of what I do, let me qualify this, YouTube is not getting any less than they normally do. I'm going to tell you about that in a moment. But if you're interested in seeing more of what I do, head over to Patreon, the link's down below. If you are quite happy to just stay on YouTube, do your own thing, and just keep up with what I'm doing on a weekly basis, a quick overview, a quick vlog to show you what I've done, how I'm doing it, how I'm getting on with One Book July, that will still be on YouTube, okay? It's just that my patrons are getting more in-depth stuff and daily vlogs and daily pictures and daily stuff. On YouTube, you'll be getting your Friday updates, end of week 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then in August you'll get the post One Book July roundup, where myself, Miss Vicky B and Carrie Harling do our roundup videos, kind of wrapping up the project. There you go. That's One Book July for me this year. Tune in next Friday. Don't forget to subscribe. Put on the bell if you want to get notifications. I'm currently doing weekly vlogs on a Monday. Witchy Wednesday stuff on a Wednesday. I've got another unboxing coming. Whoops. I've got another unboxing coming up on Wednesday. And on Fridays, One Book July right the way through till August. So don't forget to subscribe and hit your notification bell so you don't miss any uploads. I will see you again very soon. And I hope that many of you are going to be sharing your videos with us. Now, as far as sharing your video, put this hashtag in the title or the tag lines of your video. Either or both works even better. Hashtag One Book July 2017. Doesn't matter what version you're doing. That will appear in the playlist. I will put the link down below, but it's open on my channel. It will automatically appear in the playlist for One Book July. You don't have to do anything. If you do want to share it, you can go to our Facebook page and link it there. And of course, if you're doing only blog posts or only Instagram, pop over to our page, facebook.com/One Book July, and share your Instagram link or your blog post or whatever. It's an open page. You don't even need to be on Facebook to have a look at the page and look at what other people are doing. If you want to post, you do need to be on Facebook and you do need to be following the page. But if you want to just come along and see what others are doing and you don't normally do social media, that's fine. Come and join us. We don't mind if you just want to lurk. It's an open page. Have a look at what's going on. We get a phenomenal amount of videos. I think to date, the One Book July videos have topped 500. Every year that we get a few people coming on and saying, oh, this is my first video, I'm doing it for One Book July. And you know what? We love those people. We love you. Share your ideas, share your thoughts. Even if you're not doing One Book July, if you want to do a video or a blog post on why you're not doing One Book July, by all means do that. We have no problem with that. Maybe you always do one book. Maybe you don't have time because the kids are off on holiday and you really wish you could. Write a post about what you wish you could do if you had time to do One Book July. We are always open to seeing your blog posts, seeing your videos, seeing your Instagram photos. We absolutely love it. I do spend a lot of time on Instagram, so I try and get round to posting on everybody's post. Again, hashtag OneBookJuly2017 on Instagram. I use that hashtag exclusively. You don't need to @ me or Vicky or Carrie, although it's appreciated if you do. Hello moth, go away. And, you know, just share what you're doing. Tell us what you think. We love seeing what you do. Don't be afraid to share what you're doing. That's the one of the main goals of the challenge, is for the whole community to come together, having fun, showing everybody what they do, showing people when they're having an issue so that other people can come up and say, oh, I've got a solution for that. Here, try this. That's the best way to learn this kind of thing, because only you can decide how to plan or journal for you, but everybody has ideas that are going to be different to yours. And if you're stuck, or you need inspiration, or you need help, or you have a lot of ideas and you want to share them with others, this is the place to do it. Hashtag OneBookJuly2017 starts tomorrow, and go.